Hello, guys, and welcome back to Odds on Premier League Match Day 13. After midweek games, we have a new match day with great games. For instance, Chelsea, Man United. Hello, Tom.
How are you? Just 3 more match days until the World Cup. We're nearly there. We nearly made it.
And some players are getting injured. For instance, Liverpool missing the World Cup. So let's try to analyze all these 10 games with Tom. Remember, guys, leave your tips and your comments. And don't forget to press the like and subscribe. Let's start with Liverpool. Actually, they are playing against Nottingham Forest. Someone was saying that we have not to look down to Anfield when we are talking about Liverpool and not beating Man City, for instance, just 1 week ago. Since then, 2-1-0 victories against West Ham, against Man City, keeping a clean sheet while the defense used to be awful. So it's time for them also to grab a victory away, because this Liverpool is being very poor this season, playing far from Anfield, Tom.
Yeah, look, I think that they were terrific against Manchester City and deserved to win that game on balance of play, though it is worth saying City had lots of terrific chances in that game. If Haaland scores one of the 2 chances he has in the first half, if the Foden goal stood, and I think it probably should have stood, City go on to win that game. The first goal so often crucial in matches. And essentially, in the end, it was a smash and grab from Liverpool against a team who dominated possession. And in midweek, again, I don't think they played well against West Ham. And if West Ham took their incredible chances, essentially an open goal and a penalty, West Ham would have won that game. So, you know, it's 2-1-0 victories. It's important points on the board, but I still wouldn't have a lot of confidence in Liverpool to go on a big winning run at this moment in time. Good to see Darwin Núñez scoring. I think that might well change things. Still lots of doubts about Mo Salah. And I would say there are still doubts about the defence as well, considering it took a penalty save, last gasp blocks, a bit of a fortunate goal being disallowed over the last couple of games for them to win those matches. The good news for them this weekend is they're playing probably the worst team in the league in Nottingham Forest, who, look, I worked on the Brighton game on Tuesday, and I was really impressed by Ryan Yates in midfield, incredible work rate. I was really impressed by Remo Freuler. I was really impressed by the amount of togetherness there seems to be in this Nottingham Forest team. And that'll get you a long way. It won't get you Premier League safety, though. What gets you Premier League safety is taking your chances, creating chances, being a better football team. And they don't have that. The attack makes no sense. Brennan Johnson is not a centre forward. Jesse Lingard is barely there in these games. I still think Steve Cooper doesn't quite know his first team. And I think they could be in massive trouble here. I think this is, you know, Liverpool basically evens to win this game. Forest 13s, 14s, maybe 15s by the time we get to the weekend. I'd expect this to be an Asian handicap game. I think you'd be looking at -2 at least for Liverpool in this game to win by 3 goals or more. Mo Salah's not scoring right now. He has had 10 shots in his last 5 games. So this could be the game that Mo Salah comes back to form as well. 3 shots on target for Mo Salah is about 3-1. So I look at that market. Go for Liverpool to have over 25 shots. Liverpool to win by 3 goals or more. And I have no faith in Forest scoring as well. I think this is going to be a really, really tough game for Nottingham Forest, who frankly should have lost more than they have this season, the way they've played. They just don't have the quality, and Liverpool thrashed them.
Well, Liverpool Asian handicap -2, 2.27, -1.5, a little bit more cautious, 1.77 if you handicap this game, and if you go Liverpool to win 2-0, that you also mentioned, that is 2.15. Next game, relegation battle, especially for Everton, I would say. Everton, Crystal Palace, because they are getting closer and closer to the bottom 3 consecutive defeats, 1-0 against Newcastle in the midweek games, always low scoring games, as you mentioned some weeks ago. This is about defending for Frank Lampard and keep it tight, and Palace finally won against Wolves, come back with Zaha scoring, and these are good news for Palace. Only 1 defeat in the last 6 games, so perhaps this is a good game for going for a draw, Tom.
Yeah, screams draw and double chance in this one. I wouldn't look at Everton to win, even at 2.5, 2.6. I wouldn't look at it. Look, Everton are back on a run of losing games. As you mentioned, 3 defeats in a row off the back of 2 wins in a row. Both of those wins, they had 3 shots against West Ham and won. They had a couple of decent attacks against Southampton and beat them. But this Frank Lampard team are incredibly cautious, incredibly negative. They basically play a flat back 5. Like it's the worst of the Sam Allardyce era under Frank Lampard at the moment at Everton in terms of entertainment. Look, if you get results that way, terrific, more power to you. But they're not getting results now, so it looks pretty woeful. Whatever you do here, go low scoring. Whatever you do, I'd go below 1.5. That's 1-0 either way or a 0-0 draw. I can't see any scenario where this is a thrilling game of football. And that speaks to Crystal Palace as well, who won in midweek, came from behind to beat Wolverhampton Wanderers, did the same thing against Leeds in their previous win. The 2 wins in the past 5 both came in the same circumstances. In Eberezer and Wilfried Zaha, they've got some really entertaining and exciting players. But Patrick Vieira is another manager who puts caution before thrills and spills. You know, there was an era around 2001 when most managers in the Premier League were like this, and it's kind of gone that way again. We've stepped away from entertainment and moved back towards pragmatism with a lot of managers in the mid-table, if you like. So, look, on this particular game, I'd be looking at a low amount of shots. I wouldn't be looking at more than 10 shots per team. I would be looking at low scoring, 0-0 draw, screams it. A draw at 3-1, screams it. Palace nick it 1-0. That could be quite decent, but low scoring, double chance Palace, but draw is my most favoured outcome.
Okay, draw 3.34, under 2 goals, 2.38. So if there are 2 goals in the game, you get your money back. If there is only 1 goal, you win your bet. Next game, Man City, Brighton. Brighton, another team that they have problems to score. No goals scored in the last 3, no victories in the last 4. They drew against Forest in the midweek games. And Man City, they had the full week to have some rest. And it was a surprise checking the stats. Well, you don't have to check many stats. You just have to see that they didn't score in the last 2 games. And this is very strange, very rare for Man City.
Yeah, look, I think Man City on another day in the game at Anfield, they do what most of us predicted and win quite comfortably. The first goal was always going to be crucial. Haaland missed a couple of chances in the first half. He had 3 shots on target against Liverpool, but they were all quite poor finishes, weak finishes straight at the goalkeeper in the case of one of the headers. And that's the way it goes sometimes. That's football. That's why it's been a decent year so far and why City aren't top, because a couple of moments just haven't quite gone their way. That's not going to be the case here. Look, for Brighton, briefly, Roberto De Zerbi has come in. The game at Anfield was terrific where they drew 3-3. Since then, as you mentioned, it's been 2 points in 4 games. The game against Forest on Tuesday, which I referred to earlier, I think we could have played that for another 10 years and Brighton wouldn't have scored a goal. They just don't create good chances. Like, they'd be a very poor team if you cared about XG, because the caliber of the chances is just so poor. They don't really get through on goal. And if you fill your defense with players, they won't take a shot from distance, really. They won't cross the ball. They'll just keep trying to create that perfect chance till they score it. And if they create a chance, the best one fell to Joel Veltman, the centre-half, on Tuesday, and he didn't score it. Look, in this game, I think City bounced back to form. I think Brighton's defence is quite good, but I think that they're still going to concede a few goals to Man City here. I'd expect Man City to score early. Look out for Phil Foden, first goal scorer, 4 goals in his last 5. Goal disallowed last week as well, which maybe should have stood, could have been 5 in 5. So look out for City win. Foden scores the opening goal. Foden scores any time. City win both halves. I'd expect at least 3-0 here, so above 2.5, and I don't see Brighton scoring. I don't see Brighton scoring most games, but I certainly don't see them scoring here. Big City win, double it with Foden, maybe Haaland too, but Foden I fancy here.
All right, City to win 2-0, odds are 2.0. You have to be creative to win some money when Man City are playing at home. Also, Man City to win both halves is 2.3. 3-5. Remember that we have Champions League the following week. So let's see also how big teams approach this match day. For sure, Chelsea are going to put everything against Man United. The big game this weekend, and there is a lot of hype around Man United because finally they made a good football game. They beat Spurs 2-0, the best game under Ten Hag, despite all the buzz also around Cristiano Ronaldo leaving the pitch before the final whistle. Whereas for Chelsea, Tom, still keeping clean sheets, still Kepa in form, but they drop points nearby in Brentford.
Yes, I wonder if they drop points against Brentford because pre-game, both managers did an on-field tactics discussion. I mean, you shouldn't give your tactics away on television before the game. I mean, that doesn't seem like rocket science to me, but there you are. Good work by Amazon to get them to do that. Look, I think that Chelsea have improved to a point. You can see what the manager is trying to do. You knew what he was going to try and do, and that was keep the ball. Love the ball, look after the football. And I wouldn't be amazed in this particular game this weekend to see Chelsea end with above 65% possession, 65-35. I wouldn't be surprised to see them just dominate this game in terms of keeping the ball, but not in terms of chances, because Man United are at their best when they're able to counter-attack. They're at their best when there are gaps in behind to exploit. You mentioned Ronaldo. He's not going to play. He shouldn't still be there. They'll play Marcus Rashford if fit. Antony has looked superb in the last few games. Looks like he really has taken to the Premier League quickly. And Ten Hag immediately getting the best out of him. So I think the Man United breakaway here is going to be a real story of the game. The draw is 3.5. That is really, really interesting. Just a draw at 3.5. How many times do these big games end up in a draw and a stalemate because they're big teams, big names, but there are little deficiencies. There's chinks in the armor, so they might concede one. It's unlikely they'll concede another. 1-1 draw here, which is draw on both teams score, a regular scoreline in games like this. I do see Chelsea scoring. I do see Man United scoring. It's very tough to see a winner. I'd maybe be looking here at Man United win the second half of this game, Chelsea win the first half of this game, and look at all different draw combinations. I can't see a clear winner. I do think Man United will score, and look out for Rashford being that goal scorer as well. But draw.
All right, 3.8 for the draw in the biggest game of the weekend. Still 5 more games on Sunday, and some of them are good ones, not especially this one. Aston Villa, Brentford, with Aston Villa in trouble, close to the bottom 3. They have 2 key games, Fulham on Thursday. We are recording this before this game. And then Brentford, who we just spoke about Brentford and that 0-0 against Chelsea. The last time they traveled was a 5-1 against Newcastle. Can you see Brentford grabbing a point from Villa Park?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely can. Look, Villa are a team without identity. They're a team where there are constant rumours about the future of the manager. There are doubts about how many of the senior players want to play for this manager. And I think the next 2 games will be crucial. I'd be surprised if Steven Gerrard remained Villa manager by the time we get to Boxing Day. I think there'll be a nice big gap here for the World Cup. Well, I think Villa will take stock of their squad. They'll take stock of their ambitions, and I think it might be handshakes all around for Steven Gerrard, but I think he will at least get the next few games to prove what he can do. The trouble is for Villa, creating chances, they're not really doing it. Even though against Chelsea, it was a really good performance, they couldn't capitalise on possession dominance and territorial dominance, struggled against 10-man leads, struggled against newly promoted Forest to score. And I think that will continue. They've scored 7 goals this season, Aston Villa, in 10 games. There's a few teams this season who have struggled to score goals, but they and Wolverhampton Wanderers really stand out, I think, in teams that you just don't see how they're going to score a goal. There are other teams like West Ham, for example, they don't score many goals so far, but a lot of bad luck and bad shot conversion. Where are the chances being created by Aston Villa? The bad decisions in the penalty area, which cost them against Chelsea. Plus, of course, Kepa was phenomenal in the game. So, look, I think Villa here at 2-1 isn't really worth your time. I don't see them as that clear favourites. For Brentford, the funny thing about Brentford is they've only got 3 wins this season. They all came at home. They should be doing a lot better away than they are. And they look like a team that should be able to go to places like Villa and hold their own. In this particular game, I don't know. Their bad away record puts me off. Even at 3.5, it puts me off. 3.6 for the draw. You know, we're at this bit here where there's too many games happening. It's almost like Christmas is happening now, and you're getting a lot of drab 1-0s because too much football does not breed top quality football. So another low scoring game. I'd go under 1.5 goals in the game. That's a 0-0 draw, and that's 1-0 either way. But keep it low scoring, not a thriller.
Well, these are good news for us if we go for an under, Tom, because we have very good odds. For instance, under 2.5 goals is 2.08. The bookies expect an over for this one. And under 2 goals, if we are a little bit more risky, we have 3.15. So good odds if we go for an under here in Aston Villa. Brentford, next one, relegation 6-pointer, Leeds, Fulham, although both teams, I guess, they should stay in the Premier League as far as we are seeing. Fulham, they can score, as you always say, especially if Mitrovic is in the pitch. If we've been going under for the previous games, perhaps this one is the opposite, no? Perhaps we see goals in Elland Road.
Yeah, I do see goals, actually. I agree. I've been looking at the over market here in the game, 2.5, maybe over 3.5. That's 2-2, that's 3-2. That's a lot of goals in the game. You know, with Leeds United, the home team, they are a team that if they had a deadly striker, they'd be winning games at a canter at times. They create so many chances. You know, they cover the most ground. They're incredibly hardworking. But Patrick Bamford last week, you know, misses a penalty, has one goal wrongly, I think, disallowed. Rodrigo had to go off injured. His kind of goal glut has come to an end. Don't expect him to score again until the new year. And that's going to be a problem. I think Leeds, if they are going to play this offensively, this open, you can get at Leeds so sort of easily. They've got to take their chances when they come. They've got to be in a 2-goal lead to win games. Otherwise, they're going to keep getting caught, keep getting pegged back. And at 2-1 to win this, I'm not sure that's worth your time. Fulham, on the other hand, are almost the exact opposite. They score a lot of goals, and maybe they should score more. 16 goals in 10 is really impressive. A lot of that is down to Mitrovic, and he comes back against Bournemouth. I know it was a penalty, but he's on the score sheet. If he's in the team right now, he will find a way to score. So put every Fulham game, Mitrovic, anytime goal scorer. That is more than likely to come off the way things are going. I think that you are going to see lots of goals in this game. Go the over 2.5 goals in the game market. I think the winner is a bit of a toss-up, but I would certainly say both teams score. High-scoring draw wouldn't be off my agenda either. 2-2 draw as it was for Fulham against Bournemouth, I wouldn't be surprised too. Both teams score in both halves as well. Could be quite interesting here too. Double it with the Mitrovic, you'll make some money.
All right, the bookies here expect goals. So if we go for over 2.5 goals, odds are 1.87. Both teams to score, lower odds, 1.73. Still interesting. Next game, Southampton, Arsenal. Massive victory for Southampton against Bournemouth, 0-1. Charlie Adams scoring. So now they put some distance with the bottom three, but they are facing the leaders. The best team also playing away in the Premier League with 4 victories, 12 points, only 1 defeat. Tom, we have to back Arsenal still, or this is a trap game?
No, Arsenal win this game comfortably. Southampton, I didn't see the Bournemouth game in great detail, though, that the Che Adams goal was pretty good. But against West Ham in their previous home game, I mean, again, I keep doing this with West Ham. We'll do it again later. West Ham should have beaten them by 5. Like the sheer amount of top-level chances West Ham created in that second half, they had 25 shots in the game. They just couldn't hit the target. It was ridiculous in the end. And Southampton wilted. They were very, very lucky to get a draw out of that game. Did well against Bournemouth, but look, that was a relegation 6-pointer. They're 2 of the worst teams in the league in terms of quality. They did well to win it, and that may well be a result that sees them safe come the end of this campaign. But 1 win at home this season should be more defeats than they've got. I think they could be in trouble here against, as you say, the best away team in the league, the best team in the league so far, full stop. The table at this point doesn't lie. And the good news for Arsenal as well, things keep falling in their lap, is that they're playing a Europa League game on Thursday instead of a game against Man City on Wednesday. Heavy rotation as opposed to playing the first team in the toughest game of the year. We're recording before the Europa League game, but I'd imagine there'll be 8 changes potentially. I wouldn't expect any real star players, maybe the captain Ødegaard, maybe a couple of defenders beyond that, defense rests, attack rests, and they win that game comfortably anyway. So a fully fit Arsenal team going to struggling Southampton, I think they win by at least 3 goals. That's above 2.5. I don't think Southampton will score. I think Arsenal are going to win both halves. Look at Arsenal's stats as well for scoring late goals in games as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see them score a couple of goals in the final 15 minutes. 3-0, 4-0, Asian handicap it, thrashing victory for Arsenal here.
All right, Asian handicap minus 1.5, for instance, is 2.66 for Arsenal. Next game, a scary one. Wolves, Leicester City, with both teams in the bottom 3. Wolverhampton, they lost 2-1 for Crystal Palace. And this season, Tom, Wolves, as usually, they struggle a lot to score. Leicester City, you mentioned how Brendan Rodgers is trying to shut the door. So I guess we should see a tight one and not many goals.
Yeah, I mean, it screams draw at 3.5. I think that Wolverhampton Wanderers, with 5 goals scored this season, is pitiful at this moment in time. I think that they wouldn't have scored against Forest last weekend, except for a dodgy penalty going their way. Diego Costa looks knackered after 10 minutes. Every time you see him, he looks sweaty and exhausted. So, you know, he can't even get back on side at times. He looks like he's not anywhere near with the Diego Costa we remember. Certainly no business playing in the Premier League at this moment in time. It's a shame, you know, he might well score a couple of tap-ins later in the season, but right now it's tough, but there is no one else to play there. So they've got to do it. So this is the under market for me. That's what I'm looking at to make some money here. I'd be looking at goalless draw. I'd be looking at the draw market. I'd be looking at another 1-0 either way. If I was going to pick either way, I would probably pick for Leicester, even though they are bottom of the league as we record this. They haven't played in their Thursday game yet, even though they've struggled. But I do think offensively, they have players who can cause damage. I think Patson Daka or Jamie Vardy can finish off a chance created by James Maddison, who's had midweek off because he was suspended against Leeds for Thursday. So low scoring, under 1.5, draw and Leicester double chance it. I'd avoid Wolves because at 2.2, with their record, you're going to make no money.
Indeed. And if we go for the under market, under 2.5 goals is 2. So we have good odds, even if we go under 2 goals, 2.93, and it looks very, very likely to happen in this game. We don't expect many goals, or you don't expect many goals in this match day. Let's see in the next one, because this is a good one as well. Tottenham, Newcastle, with Tottenham losing deservedly against Man United, but at home, they won absolutely everything this season, and they are welcoming now Newcastle after beating Everton, grabbing points also in Old Trafford. Only one defeat this season was against Liverpool, and fighting a lot. So it's not going to be easy for Tottenham.
No, absolutely. You mentioned their home record, and it is impressive when you look at it on paper. But when you watch the game and you go to the games, and I've worked on a couple, and they're drab. It's so hard to watch Tottenham Hotspur. They are not an expansive, exciting, electric team to watch. And look, our Tottenham fans can have the ump about that. That's absolutely fine. I'm not speaking as a Tottenham fan, so I'll give you my opinion. They're a very tough team to watch. They will do whatever they can to score from a corner. So I expect them to have lots of corners in this game. I'll be going maybe over 10 corners for Tottenham Hotspur in this match, as that's pretty much 90% of their game plan, to get upfield and get a corner. I wouldn't be surprised to see this another low-scoring match. If Tottenham win it, it's a low-scoring game, right? If Tottenham win this game, it'll be 1-0. It'll be 1-0 with a goal in the first half, or 2-0 with the second goal coming after the 80th minute. It's what we saw last weekend, which ruined my bet. I went for 1. They got the second, which I didn't see coming. But this is what they're always going to try and do. Nick their second after 85 minutes when the opposition finally have to come out. The thing is, Newcastle are going to come out from the off. They're going to immediately come out and try and attack this game, because their form right now is very, very good. Their away form, just 1 win all season on the road. That was the thrashing against Fulham, who went down to 10 men early. But 4 victories already this campaign, 3 wins in their last 5, just 1 defeat across the season, the same record as Arsenal and Man City and the big teams. They've lost less games than Chelsea and Liverpool and several other teams we expect to be up there. So terrific start. You can see where there's optimism for a top 6 finish, which is where they currently sit. 2 scorelines here. Number 1 is that Tottenham win this game and it's a low-scoring match. That's 1-0, and they shut it down. The other scoreline is Newcastle score the first goal and go on to win the game by 2-1. So it depends what you fancy. If you think Tottenham can keep on doing it, they're going to win it without conceding. That's how Tottenham win games. They don't concede. If they don't concede, they'll steal the victory and they'll move on to the next one. If they do concede a goal, they have to start attacking. And if they start attacking, you got Miguel Almiron in tremendous form, Callum Wilson tremendous form, Joe Willock playing really, really well for Newcastle, Bruno Guimaraes been incredible in midfield. If Newcastle can get that first goal, I think they will go on to win this game. So pick your favourite. Those are your two results. Newcastle win it with both teams scoring, or Tottenham win without conceding.
All right. Newcastle to win is 3.8. This pays a lot. Under 2.5 goals, that you also mentioned that can be a low scoring game, is 2.1. Just pick whatever you think is going to be wise for the late kickoff on Sunday. And we still have one more game. Tom, on Monday, West Ham Bournemouth. West Ham won the last two games playing at home against Fulham and Wolves. And Bournemouth, finally, their streak without losing came to an end against Southampton before 6 games undefeated. Are you hopeful to see another home victory here?
I would expect it, yeah. I think that West Ham, no Lucas Paqueta in this game, that's a big blow, because in games like this, to have someone like him creating chances can make a massive difference for you. But I think West Ham, should have got something against Liverpool, should have beaten Southampton. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas this season for West Ham. They create lots of chances. Sometimes they just can't finish their dinner for some reason. I expect this to be the game where that changes. I'd expect West Ham to win quite comfortably here, actually. I think West Ham will score a first half goal, which they've barely done this season. I think it's 2 goals in the first half of matches this season. I think West Ham are going to win both halves. I think West Ham are going to win this game by at least 3 goals. Could be a decent Asian handicap this for West Ham to win. I'd be looking at they win by 3-0 or more. I think this is a team that you look at the face of Declan Rice and Antonio and Scamacca when they came off at Anfield. They're looking at each other going, why haven't we scored? What's happening? Why haven't we scored a goal here? We're creating so many great chances. We're missing penalties. What is happening here? And I still think there's a lot of confidence in the squad. If Dawson is fit, if Zuma is fit, and Thilo Kehrer goes back to right back, I don't think Bournemouth can breach their back line. I think Flynn Downs has earned his place in midfield with Soucek and Declan Rice. That's very solid. And a front three of Benrahma, Scamacca, Bowen. That's good enough, even without Paqueta, to go on to win this game. For Bournemouth, they have done really well. They've had a new manager bounce under Gary O'Neill. That came to an end with a poor performance against Southampton in midweek. They can't make a great deal of changes. I don't think they'll go to West Ham and score. If they do, it'll be in the first 10 minutes. If they don't score in the first 10, they won't score. But go West Ham, and go West Ham big. I think West Ham are long overdue to thrash somebody. I think they'll make it Bournemouth on Monday.
Asian handicap minus 1.5 for West Ham pays 2.7. Tom, this is it. Another match day analyzed. Tell me your best bet, your favorite bet for this match day.
Well, my safe bet is going to be, I think, Manchester City. I think that having had midweek off, time to ruminate and consider what happened against Liverpool last weekend, I think Brighton at home is a lovely game for them. Brighton simply cannot score. City will score. I think they'll score several goals. So City win and go over 2.5. That's 3-0 or more to Man City. You get that for 2.75 thereabouts. That's worthwhile.
All right. And your ACCA?
3-team ACCA this week comes in at just under 3-1, 2.81. Liverpool go to Nottingham Forest and win. Arsenal go to Southampton and win. And throw West Ham in there for a bit of a sprinkle. Brings you at 2.81 for 3, I think, quite safe victories. Triple your money. It's not too bad.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks, everyone, for following us. Remember also to leave your tips. And, of course, press the like and subscribe. See you next week, Tom. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.